This is episode 340 of the Super League pod. We give you the fans' perspective on the Challenge Cup triple header, from the ground to the atmosphere to the match action, covered in full detail with your fan reviews. Find out how you get blistered hands at a semi-final, how the sport maintains sartorial integrity, and who are the Spice Boys of Rugby League. We take a deep dive into Warrington's challenges this year and scrap some news to do extra quizzes. So get strapped in, it's SLP time. Hello listeners, welcome along to episode 340 of the Super League pod. If this one sounds a little different, it's because it is a little different. I'm here as always, myself Mark, but I'm joined in person for the first time since pre-COVID. We're recording an episode in person, and I'm joined by Wire fan Leigh. Welcome back.
Thank you for having me, as ever. I've got a cough, but it's not COVID, so that's good.
That's good. If we hear a few coughs, you might hear a few papers rustling as well, just to flag that for people. And it'll sound slightly different, but hopefully not too echoey. It's a whole new setup, but welcome back, everyone. Leigh, do you want to perform the obligation of reading out about our sponsor as we get started?
It'd be a pleasure. Okay, so Super League Pod is supported by Rob's Megastore. Rob's Megastore stocks a wide variety of toys, stationery, arts and crafts ideas, pet accessories, books, and of course Rugby League birthday cards. Search for Rob's Megastore on eBay or find the link in our episode blog post on superleaguepod.com. And SLP listeners can use their code SLP10, that's SLP10 at checkout to get 10% off any orders over £5, or enter SLP discount and give 10% towards funding SLP's running costs instead.
Yeah, great stuff. What we got coming up, well, you're here to kind of rein me in a little bit. Because obviously Wigan won in the semi-finals. We're going to do all three from the triple header. We're probably not going to dwell too much on the triple header concept itself unless it's come up in the fan reviews, but we've got tons of fan reviews on the semi-finals. Because you're here, Leigh, we're going to do a little bit on Warrington's season so far and what's gone right and more what's gone wrong. As they say outside the playoffs currently, and then we'll catch up on all the other results. We'll drop bits of news throughout the show from the very start to the very end actually this week, so loads to get through. We're going to start with a couple of bits of feedback and shout outs and that sort of stuff. So Brandon Dawson at bdawson1902 mentioned it as a new name last week on the show, and Brandon got in touch. He said, brilliant pod, only started listening recently, but it's already a must listen every week.
Fantastic.
That's what we like to hear, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Our old friend Dave Cantrell, Dr. Hideous, he sent us an email. I think he's unhappy with the way things are going for his club, the London Broncos, because he was talking about the sacked managers, which me and Alan had a bit of a chat about last week on the show in the Championship. And Dave said, happy to swap Coleman and his team of League One stars for John Kay and his squad. What do you make of that?
Well, yeah, they got a result the other week, didn't they? So that's something positive. But yeah, I think John Kay is obviously looking for a job, and I think I think he'd be a good option for London in their current state. Yeah.
And you did ask before we started recording why we called him Uncle Two Skulls, so I had to get Google Images up to show you that he in fact has two skulls, and that is why. Also, I want to give a shout out to David and Keith at the Dockhouse Rugby Show, because they invited me on Sunday evening to record some episodes with them. The first episode, actually, their show's done by video, so you get to see the Super League Pod logo and all of that as well, which is exciting.
Fantastic.
In the background there, if you search for Dockhouse Rugby Show on YouTube, then you should find that. Or if you look on our Facebook page or our Twitter page, there'll be links on there as well, reshared posts of the recent video we did. You're probably going to hear similar things because we talked about the triple headers on the first show that they put up. We did a show with Nicholas Mew, the Canadian Rugby League fan. Talked about Masters RL in Canada, and then Martin Sadler from League Express joined us to talk about league structures, which actually has had new relevance because of today's big news story, Leigh. So do you want to tell everyone today's big news story if they haven't heard it as we sit and record on Tuesday?
I will do, but did you try and sell him your conference idea again?
We all talked conferences.
Oh, right, okay,
don't you worry.
Right. So IMG news is that Super League and the Rugby Football League have announced a 12-year partnership with management company IMG to maximise the sport's growth. The deal comes after Super League and the RFL agreed to realign, with the two bodies having separated in 2018. Clubs supported the creation of a joint venture aimed at maximising the whole game's commercial value as one product. IMG will now focus on the restructuring of the competition, content production and distribution of media rights.
Yeah, and most people have just reported on the press release so far, is what I've seen. I haven't seen a ton of analysis this afternoon and before we've got recording, but there is starting to be bits seeping out about it. But what it looks like is expect a new structure in 2024 for Rugby League.
Yeah.
We've not had enough of those.
No.
Well, we haven't had one, well, unless you count changing the playoff structure 3 times in the last 5 years. We haven't really had one for 5 years.
No.
And also, what we don't understand is kind of what's in it for IMG in terms of how much money they're going to get. It sounds like they're going to share in the profits, any profits that are made across the whole of the sport, but we don't know much, do we? What do you make of it, or is it too soon to say, do you think?
It is too soon to say. I think that the benefit for me is that somebody's signing a 12-year partnership. I don't know how that'll work out in the long run, but somebody having the vision for a 12-year plan is what the sport's needed for a long time, hasn't it? So if that happens, then hopefully there'll be something good at the end of it.
Yeah, it's a long-term strategic partnership, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's a company that they work with FIFA, they work with the Premier League, they work with the Champions League in the round ball game, they work with the NRL, some of their subsidiaries at least work with the NRL, and all that sort of stuff. So there's a lot of experience and expertise there. The press release talks about 17,000 subsidiary companies out there involved.
Wow.
But, a half dozen or so. So there's plenty of knowledge and expertise to call upon, and hopefully it does grow revenues for the game rather than take money out of the game, which I think a private equity deal would have just taken money out of the game. So this seems probably better. So let's wait and see. People get in touch on that IMG news for us to talk about next week, because I'm sure it's a story that'll bubble up and rumble on as we find out a bit more detail. And if you want to get in touch, it's on social media. We're at Super League Pod on Twitter and Instagram. I put a picture on our Instagram at the weekend.
Wow.
Then I forgot all about it again.
Was it you cheering? I saw some picture of you cheering. Oh, was that was a media picture actually? I was on the Wigan. On Twitter and Instagram it's at Super League Pod. It's facebook.com/Super League Pod, or you can email us superleaguepod@gmail.com, or visit superleaguepod.com to get the info on each episode and links to the Google Forms for your fan views so that we can share and discuss on the show. And don't forget to subscribe in whatever podcast app you're listening to and leave a rating and review if you can. Okay, Leigh, we're going to move into the triple header now. Are you ready? I'm ready.
Okay, Challenge Cup match reviews. We're going to start, as the day started on Saturday at Ellen Road, with the women's final. And here's where you're going to start hearing us rustling papers, turning the pages over. I'll take you through the result, and then I'll ask you to take us through the try scorers. So it was 8-4 to Leeds at half time, but it actually, St Helens turned it around and ended up 18-8 winners, expected winners. 5,888 was what they said the crowd was during that women's Challenge Cup final, which is a record for the women's game in the UK, which is absolutely fantastic. Liam Rush was the referee. Do you want to take us through the try scorers?
So the try scorers for St Helens were Leah Burke, Ebony Partington got 2, and Geordie Cunningham. And then for the losing Leeds Rhinos, it was a great try actually by Zoe Hornby. Yeah,
who got the player of the match as well, didn't she? I think she was quite excited with that despite the defeat, wasn't she?
Yeah, she did.
It was the happiest losing match player of the match winner I've ever seen.
Yeah, she did. Did she say it's got no consolation to you? But she was actually it's a fantastic consolation.
At Mike Webb 58 got in touch. He said, "Great game and showed the growing intensity of the women's game. Some brutal defence on show, and some players can only benefit ahead of the World Cup. Well done, Saints, for the comeback and holding on better than the men. Further rant on Ellen Road, so he must rant in the other reviews and written them in a different order, but he goes, from the photos after, it looked as though the players had nowhere to change and were still in their kit in the pub in St Helens. I think that's typical of final winners. I don't think they often get changed. I think they do celebrate and stay in the kit. But yeah, there was a great video of them all running up some stairs, pretty hammered, into some like private function I think they'd arranged in St Helens for the women there. But yeah, they actually got the main dressing rooms. The women.
Yeah, fantastic.
Yeah, the women and the third game got the main dressing rooms, and Wigan and St Helens in the middle game were in porta cabins. So there you go.
All right, fantastic. So Dr. Hideous said Leigh dominated the first half but failed to turn possession into the sorts of points you'd expect. Taking the penalty goal on half-time almost seemed like an admission of defeat. Although there wasn't very long left, there was only about 90 seconds left.
No, it was the right call, I thought.
Yeah, that Saints defence was too strong. Ref looked like he was about 14, he did. He didn't let the pressure of his first adult match get to him and had a good game. How old was he? Was he a young?
He is quite young. Me and Alan were talking about it at the game, trying to figure out how, because we couldn't remember his name or anything, but we knew we'd seen him in one of the Premier Sports games, I think, earlier on this season on the Championship coverage. So, yeah, he is an up and comer, let's say.
Yeah, he missed a couple of that caught in goal.
Definitely, they were right in front of us, and we were shocked that they weren't looked at. Yeah. Frogmore said, back to back, the greatness was never in doubt, gave Leeds a head start just to make it interesting for the TV audience. Great to see the record crowd for a women's game show up too. I assume all turned up to support the Saints by the loudness of the singing. Well done to the ladies, when the Saints. Yeah, there was about 2,000 St Helens fans that turned up during the second half that by the end of the game were making some noise behind their team, that's for certain. But I was pleased outside the ground to see how many Leeds fans were milling about before the turnstiles opened up. That was pleasing to see. You couldn't really tell in the stadium because there wasn't any like sat togetherness of it with the Leeds fans. But it was good to see so many milling around outside.
I was there. I was in the Saints end. So
oh yeah.
Yeah. I went with some friends of ours that were Saints fans. So
Mike Bennett.
No, not Mike. So I was a bit annoyed to be in the Saints end actually, as it turned out, but then it turned out to be quite funny. But yeah, they were all milled in with about sort of 20 minutes to go, or in that second half anyway, and the noise just built and built. It was
basically brilliant. They all turned up for Jodie Cunningham's try.
yeah, absolutely. So Shoddy and Mungo said Leeds gave as good as they got in the first half, put Saints under pressure for the first time this year. Crucial missed penalty and tap 20 restart changed the momentum, and Saints deserved the win. Thought Leeds were pretty good defensively and kept Saints' best attacking weapons mostly in check, although not enough to get the result.
No, I've got, it was one of my later notes, but that's the first point to start on, I think, was that, because Alan's pulled it out there, that missed penalty goal on about 61 minutes or so, and it was 8-8, wasn't it? And, You would have banked on Courtney Hill getting that kick.
Well, and she just before half time that was mentioned before, she nailed one from sort of 35. 40 meters.
My uncle Liam said, "Can she reach from there?" I said, "Yeah, she can reach from here."
Yeah. So that was I just assumed that was going over, and right before that as well. I think that was when. Was it Fran Goldthorpe looked like she was going to score as well, and then got tackled on the pad. So they had their chances, didn't they? They up to that point they looked great, and they fell away.
I thought they probably should have been more ahead from the first half performance. They were definitely the better team, and Saints scored that really good try from is it Zoe Harris?
Burke. For the first?
But the kick was from Harris, wasn't it? The half.
Oh, right, yeah.
So that was a really good piece of play from St Helens, but otherwise they've been kept in check really well. I was hugely impressed by, and it seems Lois Forsell did this as a tactical bit of genius. She put a loose forward and a fullback in the centres to defend Saints' most potent weapon all year. For the last 2 years we've talked about Amy Hardcastle and Kerry Roberts, haven't we? Is that her name?
Yes.
Yeah. And how good they are strike centre.